So Nick, it's great to be here with you today. You're obviously CEO and founder of Prosper. Mm-hmm. Should we start with you telling us a little bit about the business?
Sure, be delighted to. So Prosper is an AI-powered digital wealth manager. We set the company up only a couple of years ago, but we've actually grown incredibly quickly. We manage about £500 million pounds in assets now. The way that the company started is also perhaps a little unusual. I was actually a CEO in the video games industry 15 years ago, so in a private equity-backed business. And I actually left that industry to start a digital bank called Tandem. So I was chief product officer there. And really got to understand firsthand what it was that savers and investors, because they used to ask me about investing all the time, what it was that they wanted. And I had some personal pain points. I felt that the wealth management industry wasn't digital enough, and there were a bunch of things that I didn't like about it. So that led to us starting Prosper a couple of years ago. And, our customers, I think, are the reason that I'm here today, actually.
Well, that leads naturally into, tell us a bit more about your customer base.
We're really looking at high net worth individuals. So they're basically between 40 and 55 years old, mostly, tend to either work in tech, often in companies that are, maybe the big tech companies that are public, but also some of the privately held VC-backed businesses, or they're actually in finance. And behaviorally, they're sort of long-term patient capital type people. I think the connection to why we're interested in the private securities market is because if you think about those people, they're either employed by a company that's in the private market, or they're investing in companies that are in the private markets. They obviously are interested in private markets themselves and are going to see a meaningful chunk of their net worth potentially developed from privately held equity. So when we heard about what you were doing, it's a natural thing for us to want to lead in to help those people achieve what they frankly can't really do that easily today.
We're delighted that you have joined the private securities market as a registered auction agent, so as a participant to help your customers access the private securities market. But tell me a little bit more about how you see Prosper and your client base interacting with the private securities market.
Yeah, so I think why don't we start with why it matters to the customer. If I go back to when I started work, leading technology companies at the time would have gone public in 2 years. And what we've seen is a huge number of those companies growing for much, much longer, decades even, in the private markets. So me as a customer of my own platform, I want the broadest possible investment universe that I can get, because I want to make investments in the things that I think are going to be the winning things in the future. And I dislike the fact that the private markets was essentially much more difficult for me to access. So I think for a lot of our customers, it's about a journey where there's this really attractive part of the investment universe that is hard to access, and how we're going to solve that problem in a cost-effective way for our members.
Yeah. Which is exactly the reason that we have developed the private securities market. I think from both an investor and a company perspective, one of the things that we were seeing was that companies were finding it difficult to access the broader set of investors. A lot of investors, particularly high net worth individuals, were finding it really difficult to access this asset class, and some of the next generation of the best and the brightest businesses. How you see the private securities market sort of fixing that challenge for your customers?
So I think maybe again, if I start with the customer, their fundamental constraint is they are an individual. They can't go and do loads of due diligence. How do they know that the price that they are buying an asset at is a fair market price? And I think the fact that you have a market where price discovery has actually been allowed to happen from a broad range of participants is a very good thing for for people looking to access private markets.
And I think it is the scale and it's the diversity of potential issuers and investors and managing to bring them all together.
Yeah.
To be able to provide, investors and people like your customers with access to these opportunities at an earlier stage and with the information, I think it really is a global first. So look, we're really excited about the fact that you're very much part of the private securities market infrastructure and family now. I look forward to building out the pipeline both of customers and investors.
Thank you, Marcus, for building and doing all the hard work to make it happen.